Maybe you can share the screen, ya, Renanda.
Oh, it's from me to share screen because in the group it said that the screen.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. So Fauzia will share the screen. Okay, you may be.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nanda. I'm from Industrial Engineering Universitas Indonesia. And today I would like to present about my research titled Theoretical Framework Design for Measuring Students' Preference Towards Smart Learning Class. Next. And then, next slide. This is the outline for my presentation today. Next slide, please. And we're entering the introduction part. The rapid development of technology has created a perspective of learning environment that more social, interactive, and student-centered learning environment. One example of this learning environment is smart learning environment that has gained a momentum in the education field because it can support both tangible and also intangible aspects. Technology application also has proven to increase the learning interest of the student and also opportunity for independent learning and education quality. Next slide. One example of the smart learning environment is a smart learning class. Next slide, please. The definition of smart class is a physical class that integrating a sophisticated education technology to increase the structure and also the student's ability to participate and it has been implemented at the beginning of faculty at Faculty of Indonesia. And since it is a new system, a study is needed to decrease the probability of system rejection and also to accelerate the acceptance process of smart class adoption. Next slide, please. In order to have the information system is well accepted by the user, the rejecting behavior is needed to be changed or the system is needed to be prepared. Understanding the learning environment by seeing the user perspective is a significant issue. That's why PI scale is used for this method. It covers the tangible aspect of the smart class, and TPB is used to cover the intangible aspect of the smart class. This paper had a contribution in helping the management to prepare a strategy and also to set the KPIs for measuring the effectiveness and also the efficiency of learning process in the smart classroom. As I explained, smart learning class will combine the technology that needed for the education class, and it needs a conceptually unique physical design to support the direct lecture activity and also the small group discussion. Next slide, please. And for the PI scale, it's a preference instrument of smart classroom learning environment. It's a preference measurement tools for students that consists of 8 instruments that can be used to evaluate the needs and also to identify the main features that need to be developed to maximize the effectiveness of a unique smart class. Next slide. And TPB is also used as a psychosocial theory to predict human behavior that consists of 3 instruments that will lead to behavioral attention and will determine individual behavior. Next slide, please. And PLSM is also used. It is a structural equation modeling that analyzes the database model, conceptual models, and it is used when there are limited sources can be used for a small sample size. Next slide. And for the framework development, we combine all the factors in the PI scale and also from the TPB, that creating a relationship. Next slide. Next slide. That consists of 12 hypotheses and 13 latent variables and also 49 indicators. Next slide. And the sample size for this research is 130. That 40 can be used for the pilot test, again by spreading a questionnaire that consists of 49 questions reflecting each of the indicators, and PLSM was used for the analyzing the data using a smart PLS3 application. For the demographic, it's mainly dominated by the female. Next slide. With the age group of 19 to 20 years old. Next slide. And then it was also dominated by the class of 2018. Next slide. And dominated by industrial engineering students. Next slide. As we can see that for the path diagram, for the pilot study, we have to eliminate time variables because of the loading values. Next slide. And next slide. And for the final model, we have to eliminate two other variables. And after that, all the auto-loading values are meeting the assumption. Next slide. As for the convergent validity, we can see that the AVE value is meeting the assumptions, and also from alpha and the composite reliability values. Next slide. As for the discriminant validity, for the HTMT ratio and also the CI is also meeting the base values. Next slide. And also, and then we're entering the outer model evaluation. For the outer model evaluation, next slide, please. It can be seen that there is no collinearity because all the VIF value is meeting the assumption. And also for the determination coefficient, next slide, there are three variables with moderate relationship and three variables with strong relationship. Next slide, please. And for the last is the Stone Geiger value. It can be seen that all the variables are predictives. Next slide. And we're entering the hypothesis testing part. First of all, there is a path diagram. For the first thing, there is a path coefficient. It can be seen that all the hypotheses are significant. Next slide. For the hypothesis testing based on the T value, there are 9 hypotheses that are accepted, and there are 3 other hypotheses that are rejected. Next slide, please. Next slide. For the regression analysis, behavior has the biggest value. And next slide. This is the indicator that dominated each of the variables. Next slide. As for, we're entering the summary part. For the summary, smart learning class has gained a momentum, but since it is a new system in engineering faculty, a study needs to develop and to improve the class to decrease the rejection and also to accelerate slide.
Okay.
Future
Okay.
research. Yeah, I think that's all about my presentation. Is there any question? I think there's a delay
Okay,
between the slides. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Thank you, Renanda. Is there any questions from the audience? If you have any question, you can turn on the video. Maybe only one question, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any question? No? Okay. Since there is no question, I will ask you maybe one thing. What do you mean by the convergent validity? And what is the difference between the convergent validity and the discriminant validity in your research?
Can you go to the slide, please? Convergent validity. Okay. Can you go slide? Sorry. Slide code. Sorry. It is. I think it's on the below side. Convergent validity. No, it's on the upper side. Again. Yes, this one. Your question is the difference between convergent validity and discriminant validity, right?
Yes, and what do you mean by convergent and the discriminant? What
Okay,
is
like
the definition of your research? Yeah.
okay, convergent validity is the extent to which to measure how the indicators correlates to the alternative measures of the same construct. It means like, is it in line with the construct or not? And then for this discriminant validity is the extent to which a construct is truly distinct from the other construct. It means that there is no like there is no every construct explains a different phenomena from the other constructs. And what is the other question? Sorry.
Yeah, the implication of the convergent validity and discriminant validity. What if your research is not meet the one validity? I mean, what if your research does not meet the convergent or divergent validity?
And then we have to remodel the model by maybe like eliminating all eliminating variables and see how it results to the whole model.
Okay, thank you, Renanda. Yeah, so maybe this is all from Renanda.
Okay, thank you.
Online applause, yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Renanda. And then we have the second presenter. The title is Driving Factors Analysis of Mobile Game In-App Purchase Intention in Indonesia by Fairuz Naufal Hamid and Amalia Suzianti. So maybe Virus now follow it, yeah, the presenter. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. You have 10 minutes, yeah, to present your research. Yeah, maybe you can start now.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good
Waalaikumsalam.
morning to the session speaker, Bu Maya, and Ms. Amalia Suzianti, and all participants of APCORISE 2020. My name is Virus Nopal Hamid, and I would like to present my research paper about driving factor analysis of mobile game in-app purchase intention in Indonesia. So, okay, next we move to the first agenda, which is the introduction part. Next. Okay, so the first one is the research background. Next slide. So the reason why I choose mobile game as my research topic is because that we can see the gaming industry today is one of the most developing digital industry in the world. The market value was recorded almost touched 140 billion US dollars worldwide, and among all platforms of playing a game, the mobile game has the highest number of market value among all platforms. Next. And then this is the condition of mobile game industry in Indonesia. Indonesia has the most online game players and also has the highest market value of gaming industry in Southeast Asia. So there is a huge potential actually for local game developers to create and produce their mobile game to Indonesian gamers. But unfortunately, Indonesian game company seems like struggling to compete with other foreign game companies, which is becoming a problem because we want that Indonesian gaming company to improve their product, to improve their company in their own country. So, and then can move to the next slide. So based on those problems, the research purposes are, first one is to develop a conceptual model of factors influencing gamers in Indonesia to make in-app purchases with two theories. And the second one is to analyze the most significant factors using structural equation modeling. And then in the next slide is the research gap compared to the previous studies. That in this study, we use mobile game as our objects, and then we use more than one theory. We use perceived value, confirmation, and satisfaction attributes to explain or to see the relation to continuous intention and purchase intention behavior in Indonesian gamers. Okay, next. And then I will explain a little bit about the theory and method that I use in this research. The first one is the theory of perceived value. You can see the next slide. So in 1988, it is stated that perceived value is consumers' overall assessment of the utility of a product or a service based on their perceptions of what is received and what is given. And then this theory was developed in 2001 by Sweeney and Sutar. They developed the perceived values into these dimensions: the performance value, the social value, and the monetary value to measure user behavior. Okay. Next, the next theory is the expectation confirmation theory. This theory was developed in 1980 that explain how expectation or the pre-consumption behavior about certain product and its perceived performance or the post-consumption behavior will lead to user satisfaction and intention to use in the future. And then in 2001, Bhattacharjee developed this theory again by explaining only the continuous intention or the post-consumption behavior only based on the perceived usefulness. So this model by Bhattacharjee, we can see in the slide, will be used in our research as our conceptual model. And then next, we use structural equation modeling to analyze and to do the hypothesis testing, which we use the partial least square SPAM, because this method is more proper to calculate the newly developed model with limited theory. So, okay, next. So this is our research methodology. Okay, so I already explained the introduction. Next. And then the conceptual model and the research hypothesis we already developed it and already validated by an expert in Indonesian mobile game. And after that, we shared the online questionnaire to targeted respondents. And after we get the data, we analyze using the smart PLS software to get the hypothesis result. And then we draw conclusions and the limitations of the research. Next is the conceptual model of our research. We can move to the next slide. So this is the conceptual model based on two theories that I already explained, the confirmation model, and then the theory of perceived value. So for the confirmation model, we substitute the perceived usefulness to perceived value because perceived value can explain the value of a product in a wider dimension. So we can specifically see the quality of the product, the social aspect, and the monetary value. We can see the relation to the continuous intention and the purchase intention. And then on the right side is the definition of each factors. Okay, so next is the total 16 hypotheses that we developed. Okay, and then next is the summary of our data collection result, which we get 132 respondents from across Indonesia. You can see the next slide is the summary of the respondents, the gender. Most of them are male, and then age, their occupations, and then where they live. Okay, next. Next is their monthly income, their playing intensity, and also the game genre that they usually play. And then next, so after we see their answer to the questionnaire, we pick the first 40 data to do the pilot study. We do the pilot study because we want to know if there are any indicators or factors that are not valid or are not reliable, so we can eliminate them for the measurement of full model. And then by the result of the pilot study, one indicator was eliminated. You can see in the bottom one, in the reliability indicator test with the loading factors, we eliminate one indicators. And then for the other test, the internal consistency, reliability, and convergent validity is all factors are valid and reliable. Okay, next is the measurement model for a structural model. Also, the all factors with R square and Q square was found valid, eligible to be put in the full model test. And then the next part is the result of the full model. We can go to the next slide. With the same test, all indicators and factors are valid and reliable, so there are no problems. Next, also with structural model test, with the same test, R square and Q square was found above the minimum value.
You have 1 more minute.
Okay, next. This is the path diagram. Next is the hypothesis testing. Okay, next. So based on the result, there are 4 hypotheses that unsupported, which is gaming social aspect to satisfaction, monetary value to satisfaction, gaming social aspect to purchase intention, and satisfaction to purchase intention. So based on the result, we can see that if we want to see the behavior of purchase intention and continuous intention. For continuous intention, all the perceived value, quality, social, and monetary value was found significant. So these values significantly drives people to play the game in the future. But for the purchase intention, the social aspect of the game for the Indonesian gamers seems like they feel like no significant relation from the social aspect to the purchase intention in the future, which can be improved by the gaming company. Okay, next one is the implications and the result. Sorry, the conclusions and limitations. We can see the slide. Okay, next, because I think the time is up. Okay, so here's the conclusions and the limitations of the study. I think because the time is up, if there are any questions,
Okay,
please.
thank you, Fairuz. Is there any questions from the audience? If you have any question, you can turn on the video. Is there any question? No question? Okay. No questions again, so I will ask. Yeah, I will ask one question to Fairuz. Yeah. So in your research, what is the most important factors that affecting the in-app purchase gaming?
Okay, so we actually measure two behavior in this research. If we see the continuous intention, the most important is the quality of the game. The quality is explained by the gameplay of the mobile game, and then the character development, and also the features and the promos that included inside the game. And for the purchase intention, the most significant factors based on the result of the calculation is the monetary value, or the value that related to the money, like for the pricing, the item pricing, the discount that provided by the developers. So for based on the result of the SAM, for Indonesian gamers, it is shown that the monetary value or the things that related to the price, the item price, and also the discount found to be the most significant factors among the quality and also the social aspect, which found unsupported. So the answer is the monetary value that is the highest value.
Okay. Do you know how much the customer willing to pay? Maybe like the price, yeah. How much how much the customer willing to pay for a game in the app?
So
the maximum price or something. Maybe you have the data.
Actually, because the game that the respondents played is somehow different, and also in term of the pricing is in a very various. Actually, I don't have the full data about how much the minimum value that they will pay, but based on the discussion with some of the expert customers, we can say expert customers, because they are the game in the community. They are in the community. We have a discussion. They stated that actually the minimum value of the price that they can tolerate is actually there's no minimum value, but they see the benefit of what they pay. For example, if they pay a certain amount of money with a little benefit for them in the gameplay, they may be not willing to purchase the item. But if they found an item that that can develop their playing ability and playing skills, they will pay for it. But based on the result of the a full respondents data, the price is actually important, but I don't have the exact amount of which how much money that they will pay, the minimum value of money will pay, or the maximum value of the money that they will pay.
So it's not necessarily the lowest price, yeah, that they want to buy. So they also see the quality of the game also. So it's kind of conflicting factors, right? Quality and also the price, yeah. So not solely the price, but affected by others factors also. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Virus. Yeah, please give him applause.
Thank you.
Okay, so the third part presentation, the title is Exploring Risk and Benefit Factors Affecting User Adoption Intention of FinTech in Indonesia. So the presenter is Vanessa Rahma Haki and Amalia Suzianti. Okay, Vanessa. So you are ready. You have 10 minutes to present your research, yeah? So you can start now.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. First, let me introduce. My name is Vanessa from Industrial Engineering Department, University of Indonesia. Today, I'd like to present my current research about factors affecting fintech adoption intention in Indonesia using risk and benefit approach. Next. Today's presentation will be divided into 5 agenda presentations. And now we are going on to the introduction first. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide. Since the technology revolution in both internet and smartphone, and also along with the rapid development of technological innovation, financial technology has grown explosively. And fintech, which originally referred to computer technology applied to the back office or bank, now describe about to the variety of technological intervention into personal and commercial finance. The presence of fintech offers convenience and speed in the process of public financial transaction. According to World Bank research, 20% increase in financial inclusion through the adoption of digital in financial services will provide an additional 1.7 million jobs, even more in developing countries. In Indonesia, the presence of fintech also contributes to numerous sectors. As said by INDEF, fintech has acted in handling loans of 7.64 trillion to 1.47 million people. But not only that, the development of fintech also succeeds in creating employment for more than 350,000 people in number of sectors. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. However, according to the chairman of OJK, the level of national inclusion next slide, please. The level of national financial inclusion was still low at 67.8% in 2016. This is also strengthened by a report published by McKinsey & Company in his latest report titled Digital Banking in Indonesia, Building Your Loyalty and Generating Growth, where the penetration rate of fintech user in Indonesia is still low compared to other countries in Asia. And a survey conducted by Daily Social in collaboration with the OJK in 2018 showed that only 70% claim that to be familiar with fintech service. However, there's only 58.1% that have used digital service on a daily basis. Next, please. There are many reasons why users do not want to have or do not want or have not used fintech service, including the many risks that they will occur and the absence of concrete protection against these risks compared to the benefit they receive. So in determining the adoption of fintech service, users tend to consider the benefit and risk and make decisions for adoption when the benefit outweighs the risk. However, the present research on the adoption of fintech service looks more at the acceptance side using technological acceptance model approach. So there's a potential to conduct research on the adoption of fintech service using a benefit and risk approach. Next, please. Next, please. The objective of this research, the first is to build risk-benefit framework to examine the fintech adoption intention, and second is to look at the benefit and risk factor that influence adoption intention in in fintech service. So, for literature review, risk benefits were adapted from theory of recent action, theory of planned behavior, and theory acceptance model. View has stated that the intention to adopt fintech depends on customer behavior toward fintech that is influenced by belief, where the benefit and risk can be set as behavior belief that associate with positive and negative perception that can be determined behavior and influence behavior intention. And Peter and Therapy says that perceived risk and perceived benefits are fundamental aspects of customer decision making. Next, for the conceptual model, these conceptual models were modified from previous research conducted by Ryu, Kim and Co, and also Kim, Kevin, and Rowe, where this current research will combine trust variable to the risk and benefit framework, because according to some studies, the risk does not significantly influence users to adopt technology. In the situation where the user must determine the choice to adopt, trust becomes a key role as a solution to overcome the risk, where trust can be mediated to reduce some level of risk, and also trust shown a significant influence to intention adoption intention. So here we have 4 categories of risk and 4 categories of benefit. And research hypothesis. Next, to the research methodology. This research methodology begins with introduction, literature review about fintech, risk-benefit framework, and PLSM. And the next is hypothesis development and data collection, and come with data analysis and with drawing conclusion and research limitation. And the next slide on respondent demographic. To test the proposed hypothesis, we designed an online survey and recruit participants in Indonesia who already use and experience in fintech service. For PLSM, the minimum required sample is 10 times the maximum number of structural facts arriving at the construct. For this research, it's required 50 respondents for the minimum requirement. So in total, we gather 100 participants, filled the questionnaire, which consists of 57 females and 43 males. And participants around 70 to 24 years old is dominating fintech user. For the next slide, most participants, next slide, data analysis and results. Here we measure a measurement model evaluation. From the measurement model evaluation, there's we we found several indicators that do not meet the recommendation threshold of auto-loading in convergent validity. So the indicators will be for the discriminant validity, internal consistency, reliability. They are already valid and reliable. Can you go to the measurement model of this? On the full model for the convergent validity, discriminant validity, and internal consistency reliability, the values are already valid and reliable because they are because they are already can you go to the hypothesis testing? Slide hypothesis testing.
Yep. You have 1 more minute, Vanessa.
Okay. For the hypothesis testing, the proposed hypotheses are tested with PLS, and it's found that there are 3 hypotheses that not significant to support the hypothesis, which is perceived information does not significantly affect adoption intention. Security risk does not that also does not affect the trust and transaction process. Also not significantly influence the adoption intention.
Okay, you can go to the conclusion, yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Because time is up.
For the conclusion part, yes. So this study is looks for the trust, perceived benefit, and perceived risk that impact customer before adopting fintech service. Risk-benefit model adapted from the conceptual model with adding trust variable to mediate risk and adoption intention. So trust is proven to reduce perceived risk and significantly influence user intention in adopting fintech service. And convenience and economic benefits that are part of the perceived benefit is that significantly influence users to adopt fintech. While security risk has the biggest negative effect, and convenience has the biggest positive effect on fintech adoption intention. And for the limitation of this research, there was still no improvement analysis for the development of fintech service, and the current research is not focused on one fintech service, and there's a lack of total respondent of the research. Thank you. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Vanessa. Is there any question?
Yeah.
If you have any question, you can turn on the video. Okay, Virus.
Okay, can I ask a question to Vanessa?
Yes. Okay.
So if I'm not mistaken, there are 3 factors that positively influence the adoption intention. Can you explain which factors has the strongest relation to the adoption intention?
Okay. Based on the PLSM calculation in hypothesis testing slide, there are 3 factors that positively influence the adoption intention, which is convenience, economic benefit, and also trust. But among them, convenience has the highest effect on influencing users to adopt fintech. That can be shown by the PET coefficient that has the highest number, the highest value among others, and and it has has the highest p-values at around 5.5, and while economic benefit only 2.9, and transaction process is only 2.0. Yeah. So the answer is among three factors that positively influence fintech adoption intention. The convenience is the most factor that influence users to adopt fintech. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. So the answer is convenient.
Yes, convenience is the most factor.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa and Virus. Yeah, please give her online clapping. Okay. Okay, the next presenter, the title is Multi-Generation Perception Towards Digital Wallet in Indonesia by Arindi and Amalia Sujanti. So, Arindi. Okay, the slide. Okay. So, Arindi, you have 10 minutes to present your research. Yeah, we can start now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Before we start, let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Arindi from Department of Industrial Engineering, Universitas Indonesia. Today, I will explain about my research paper that is multi-generation perception towards digital wallets in Indonesia. Please next to the background. Of the world economy in the future are digital business and technology. And because in Indonesia is a potential market, Indonesian's population is 250 million people, and Dana focus on 170 million smartphone users in Indonesia. Next to the background. And using digital wallets provides more benefit. Next, but cash transactions are preferred because people feel more secure to deal with something they hold. But one of the factors that influence someone to adopt a digital wallet is a recommendation from the closest person. But it's only worked on the Generation X, and each generation has different characteristics and perspective in their choices. So it should be investigated what factors influence what user intention to use and recommend digital wallet based on the multi-generation perspective. Next, our purpose is develop a conceptual model of factor influence user intention to use and recommend digital wallet. And then we want to influence the user intention to use and recommend a digital wallet based on the perspective of multi-generation preference. Next to the research gap, the difference of our paper is we state the multi-generation perception, and we combine the theory of the acceptance model of digital wallet. Next to the research methodology, our step is first introduction. We choose the research topic and then state the research background and then formulating the problem. And then we state the research purposes. And then we continue to build the conceptual model. We search the define of the technology acceptance, digital wallet, whole generation and X, Y, and Z. And we define the Vartial square and with the structural equation model. And for the build the research hypothesis, we propose model and questionnaire, and then the questionnaire is validated by the expert in digital wallet in Indonesia. And after that, we share the online questionnaire to the respondent. After that, we analyze the data with the pilot test study and then the full model study, and we get the result analysis and implication. The end of the research, we draw the conclusion and state the limitation of this research. Next to our hypothesis, we have 9 hypotheses. In hypothesis 1 until 6, perceived ease of use, perceived usefulness, attitude, compatibility, perceived behavior, control, and trust positively influence intention to use and influence actual system use. Actual system use influence the perceived satisfaction, and perceived satisfaction influence the recommendation to use. Next to the data collection and measurement. To the respondent demography, we divide to the gender, age, and occupation, and the location. And we divide to using intensity 1 until 3 days per week, 4 until 6 days per week, and every day. Please continue to respondent therapy, Miss. And the digital wallet brand is GoPay, OVO, Link Aja, Dana, ShopeePay, and Sakuku. Hello.
Is there a problem?
Hello. Okay, I'm sorry for the connection. Please continue to the pilot study, Miss. Next. Please continue to pilot study, Miss. Okay, for the measurement model in the pilot study, the question reliability and validity with Cronbach alpha and KMO is valid and reliable. And for the, we also test with convergent validity test with average variance extractive test and composite reliability test. And the result is valid and reliable. Next to the measurement model, R square, Miss. And we do the coefficient determinant test with R square and do the predictive relevance with chi-square test. And the result is R square is good, and the factor in the predictive relevance is also predictive. Okay, because of that, we continue to the full model, and also we test the reliability indicator test with loading factor test, and the result is reliable. And then next, we also test with the composite reliability test, and the result is also reliable. And then we also test the convergent validity test with average variance extracted test. And in generation X, Y, and Z, the result is also valid. And for the generation XYZ discriminant validity test, we test with the Fornalacker test. Okay, and the result is also good for the X, Y, and Z. Next, Miss, to the measurement model test, VIF. We also test the variance insulation factor test to the multicollinearity, and the result is no multicollinearity in the factor of this study. Next to the endogen variable variance with R square. Okay, the result is also good, and chi-square, the result is predictive. Next to the result and discussion, Miss. Next to the result. Okay, we have the hypothesis 1 is accepted by generation X and Z, and hypothesis 2 are accepted all of the generation. Hypothesis 3 are rejected of all generation, and hypothesis 4 are accepted for generation X, and hypothesis 6, 7, 8, and 9 is accepted with whole generation. And then the implication for the academic, next to the implication. The conceptual model in this study could be useful in the future for academic purpose. The model can be used to measure or develop user acceptance or a technology. And for the business implication, this research purpose. Okay, I have the message. I think the time is up. Sorry for the connection.
You can go to the conclusion, please.
Okay. Please, Miss, go to the conclusion. The conclusion of this research is to identify influencing factor that intention to use and recommendation digital wallet based on the multi-generation preference perspective. And the in generation X, perceived ease of use, perceived usefulness, compatibility, and trust positively influence intention to use. In generation Y, perceived usefulness, perceived behavioral control, and trust positively influence the intention to use. And the last, in generation Z, perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness positively influence intention to use. I think that's all of my slide. Thank you. Do you have any question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arindi. Okay,
I'm sorry for the
question?
connection.
Okay, it's okay. Is there any question from the audience? You can turn on the video.
Okay, please.
Okay, is there any question? No question? Okay, maybe I will ask one question for Mr. Arindi. So what is the most important factors that affect the user intentions in digital wallets?
Oh, I'm sorry, I can hear you, Miss.
Okay, hello?
I can hear you clearly.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes. What is the most important factors that affecting the user's intention to use digital wallets?
Okay, there is any perspective about generation X, Y, and Z. In generation X, perceived ease of use, perceived usefulness, compatibility, and trust is positively influence intention to use. But the most is perceived ease of use in generation X. And in generation Y, the most is the perceived usefulness. And the generation Z, the most is almost same, perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness. So for the conclusion, in generation X, Y, and Z, majority, the very important factor is perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness to influence the intention to use.
So in generation Z, the trust is not the important factor. to you?
Yeah. We
Why
get
is
the
that?
okay.
Uh-huh.
In Generation Z, trust is not only important. I think because in Generation Z, they don't have any money in their wallets, so they only have they only want the application that easy to use and only usefulness. I think that's the reason.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see the trust is not the important
Yeah,
factor in the Z generation Z, yeah, but in generation
yeah.
Y and X, it's yeah,
Trust
it's
is really
there.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Maybe yeah. Maybe you can highlight it in your research. Yeah. So this is
Okay.
interesting output of your research, I think.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you, Miss.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arindi. Please give him
Okay.
online applause. Yeah. So the next presenter will be Mr. Taufan Sulistyo Darmawan and Amalia Suzianti. And the title is Knowledge Management Framework in New Product Development Projects of Automotive Industries. Yeah. So the slide. Okay, Mr. Taufan, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, you have 10 minutes to present your research.
Okay.
You can now.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. This moment, I will present our research with the title of Knowledge Management Framework in New Product Development Project of Automotive Industry. Next slide, please. For the introduction, in recent years, industries are faced to the challenge with a dynamic environment. The consumer preferences are subject to change quickly. New regulation and the climate of competition among companies stimulate change at the marketplace product. Companies are challenged to accelerate their work to shorten product time to market. This is due to the product's life cycle is getting shorter, and to avoid change of preference before the product launch, they need to shorten their time to market. Generally, a short product time to market help industries to avoid delay in starting to market new products, delay in revenue, and increasing product. To avoid increasing product development cost and to avoid delay in break-even point. Next slide, please. The process related with the product time to market is the process of developing a new product. The new product development teams are challenged to accelerate their work to shorten product time to market. The product change usually the product change is usually a modification of the previous product. So the knowledge of the previous product design and the characteristic are important. That's why knowledge management is needed for change that occur in the new product and compared with a previous product. Industries need to combine the knowledge management and the expertise built in the project team to support long-term success. Next slide, please. And this is why the research is important, because the study aims to obtain a knowledge management framework designed in the process of developing new products that are able to shorten the time to market of this product. The framework will help to reduce the independency with the experience from one person or some person from the previous project. Next slide, please. The methodology of this research is The first, by incorporating the result from the previous research and study the new product development process, key performance indicator, and the critical success factor. The conceptual model of knowledge management in new product development has been developed. After that, some interview have been conducted with experts from automotive manufacturer companies to validate the conceptual models. The expert we interviewed are the people who have participated in the field of new product development projects. We identified the potential participants, then nominates those who are more important, and make a list of candidates to be shortened to a shorter list of nominations. Based on the result of the interviews, design structure metrics were developed for representing and analyzing interaction relation among system elements. Next, please. Next slide, please. And then, I'm sorry for the conceptual model slide. And then this is the developed conceptual models. A knowledge management roadmap that developed by Tiwana is used as the basic consideration in developing the model. The 4 phases, there are infrastructure evaluation, KM system analysis, design and deployment, and the evaluation stage are broken down into the sub-process consisting of the knowledge dimension and the process dimension. And since the product is developed to fulfill the customer need, seeking the customer feedback is a vital activity throughout the development stage. And the customer feedback is most certain way of seeking continual and honest customer input during the development phase. This conceptual model is then validated by the expert through interviews. The expert is selected firstly by social acclamation, and then the social acclamation to identify the prospective participant who then nominate further key people. And the experts should have the experience in the field of new product development. They should have personal involvement because these persons may have a professional mandate in this field, and they may simultaneously be emotionally involved and deeply concerned about issues at stake. Next. And the last slide for the conclusion from the model is the iteration in the design and development phase in order is happen in order to confirm the readiness of the equipment by comparing with knowledge and requirement. And the iteration between the development and evaluation states correct deficiencies in the prototype found in the evaluation phase. This is one of the part of continuous improvement from the company. And the third, the process which are not sequential might not be done concurrently. This is important because concurrent activity might shorten the time, so the result, the time to market of the new product will be shortened. And then the case study has already planned to automotive manufacturer in Indonesia. That's all of my presentation. Thank you. If there is any question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taufan. Is there any question? You can turn on your video if you want to ask questions. Okay. Is there any question? No question. So I will ask you maybe one question, yeah. So what is the implication of the knowledge management in your research? I mean, if you do not use knowledge management, how is that will be different in your output?
Yeah, if the knowledge management is not applied in this case, an automotive manufacturer, there will be huge independency with the last experience of new product models. So when the new product is dependent to dependent to the last project, it will take a long time in developing the new product. So the time to market of the new product will be longer than expected.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Taufan. Please give him applause. Yeah.
Thank you.
The last presenter will be Mr. Aryo Rahadi and Mrs. Amalia Sujanti with the title of Knowledge Sharing Strategy for Indonesian Millennial Workforce. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe we wait for the slide first. Okay, you have 10 minutes to present your research, yeah, Mr. Aryo. Okay, you can start now.
Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to
Sorry, your voice
present
is
my
not clear.
research.
Maybe you can. Yeah.
Okay.
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 Okay, you can start.
Thank you for. Okay. This research paper is knowledge sharing for. My name is Aryo Rahadi, and this research is guided with Dr. Amalia Sujanti from Department of Industrial. Next, please. Next, please. Can you hear my? Okay. Move on to the presentation agenda. First, from introduction, literature review, objectives, research model. Next, okay. Next, from the research, etc. Towards companies are required to have a competitive advantage to maintain their sustainability. To have a competitive advantage, knowledge assets can be regarded as one of competitive advantage in the and deployment of strategy have then move on to the knowledge sharing. The knowledge sharing is key enabler in the application of knowledge management. The knowledge sharing in company company's internal environment, decision in the companies will be actively engage knowledge, which will lead to the achieving competitive advantage. Next slide, please. Okay. In this slide, I will explain about the millennial phenomena. Who is a millennial? Millennial is a generation that is born between the year of 1980 to 2000s. Now that the number of millennial workforce have begun to dominate the company, with a percentage that will continue to increase, they will become one of the key. So based on the latest research about millennial characteristic, we have the collaborative that millennial love to work with team, and then they are seeking for recognition. Millennial wants to create something new and be recognized. And then the third is flexible and explorative. They can work at flexible hours and loves to explore things. And the last things, they tend to be impatient. Millennial have tendencies to rush their daily affairs. It is predicted that by the year of 2030, from millennial generation. So this from this background arises a challenge that millennial to have to tend one to another company to switch for their process of knowledge management deployment. Okay, start and then continue to the research. There is three focus. First is we focus on identifying factors in knowledge sharing that we identify from uh, the phenomenal cultures editing technology that it will integrate. I'm sorry, still from the last page that will integrate the facilitating technology will integrate it into the theory plan behavior model. And then the last is knowledge sharing strategy. From the strongest influential factor will that more suitable to be applied to millennials. And then from this is the definition of knowledge sharing and knowledge management. The knowledge sharing itself is process of creating mutual stock of knowledge among individual or groups. The better the organization facilitating the knowledge sharing, the greater potential for positive effects in the development of human resource and work productivity. And then from the previous research, we have the first is Wu and Zhu from 2000 creation of plan behavior psycho-socio-technical PRIS. They found that knowledge workers in China are more likely to share their knowledge for resilience. And then the second is from Chen et al. From 2011. They're developing of Taiwanese small medium enterprise based on external factors such as facilitating networks, organizational trust, and support for cognitive ability improvement to the cognitive ability improvement support proved to be insignificant factors. And then from the Winadi et al. From 2018, uh, he developed the knowledge management strategy based on internal and external factors, nation, multi-generational workforce environment. The organizational cultures is most important factors. So the research gap is identifying factors from arising human management challenge. That is the generation Y or millennial.
You got 3 more minutes.
Continue to the uh, continue to the objective. We have this based on that. Continue to the research model and hypothesis. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. Next slide. Research model and hypothesis. expertises. From the image, we can see that we developed the conceptual model based on the three major factors. There is theory of plan behavior, psychosocial factors, and then facilitating tools and technology factors. The is from HZ. This is the continue to the hypothesis. Sorry, Miss. Can you proceed forward to the data collection? Continue. Next. Next, please.
You have 1 minute, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. Please show the slide now. Please continue. Next. Please continue to the next slide. Sorry. Can I share my screen? Can I my screen instead? Oh.
No, you cannot share your screen. Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. But I
So
cannot
maybe you
continue
can go to the conclusion,
to
maybe
present
just the
me.
conclusion, and yeah,
Okay.
the time is up. Yeah.
Okay. Please go to the last slide. Next, please. Okay, so the conclusion is the millennial will have a higher intention to share their knowledge because the unsupported values in the study is time availability. So it can be said that factors to be control of knowledge sharing. So the first relevant knowledge strategy by implementing multi-criteria decision-making or MCDM method and combining with the importance and performance analysis the most successful.
Okay, Mr. Aryo, you
Yeah.
finished?
Okay. Yes, I'm finished.
Hello, Mr. Aryo.
Hello. Yes,
Yes,
I already finished.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. Is there any questions from the audience? Yeah, you can turn on your video if you want to ask questions. Is there any question? No question? Yeah, so maybe I will ask Mr. Aryo. Yeah.
Okay.
In your you stated that millennials will have a higher intention to share their knowledge because they enjoy helping their colleagues. Yeah. So is this based on the same model or maybe based on how do you compare the intention? I mean, because you use the same, right, structural equation modeling, right?
Yes.
Yes. How do you measure the millennials have higher intention than then what? Yeah. So.
Okay. Yes. From the knowledge sharing, that is divided to 5 factors that according to the attitude. The first one is perception of perceive of this is incentive or rewards, and then perceive of reciprocal benefit, more like social gains theory. The quotation enhancement, and then the processing, structural, the factor then enjoyment helping others and perceive of lost knowledge did not have a significant. So the most influential factors to millennials to share knowledge is more likely they enjoy to help others, disregarding the incentive achieve or reciprocal benefit and reputation enhancement. So they are more likely to the from my
Okay.
Primary data analysis. That okay.
Yeah, Mr. Aryo.
Yes. I think I have answered the questions.
Okay, thank you. Maybe there's some little problem of the network.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yes.
this is the end of the presentation, the end of the session A1. Yeah. So thank you for your participations. Yeah. And I will have a short presentation summary. So basically, most of participants used structural equation modeling, yeah, in their research. Yeah. So the first participant used SAM to measure students' preference, and then the second for the mobile gaming, and then the third and the fourth they used it in the fintech and also the digital wallet. And the sixth participant used structural quotient modeling in knowledge sharing strategy. Yeah. So maybe only the fifth participant that used knowledge management framework. Yeah. So yeah, this is very interesting. And we can see the application of the structural equation modeling across many fields. Yeah, basically, maybe it is more interesting to model the SAM into the multi-generation. Yeah, so maybe comparing other generations, so maybe generation X, Y, and Z, and see how it shapes their belief, yeah, into intention to use or intention to purchase. Yeah, so yeah, basically, yeah, the SAM is very usable in every field. Yeah. So yeah, maybe this is the end of the sessions. Thank you very much for your time. And then after this, we will have a break, yeah, on to the next session. Maybe you can join the next sessions after lunch, yeah. So thank you very much for your attention. Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.